I'm Katie.
I'm Anna.
She's a psychotherapist.
And she runs a photography empire.
Together we make music and we podcast
to encourage ourselves and you
to do the things that scare us most.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Doing Scary Things podcast. We are coming to you right in the middle of some of the biggest chaos most of us have ever experienced in our lifetime to talk with you about gratitude. This may seem like odd timing for that, but we disagree. We've talked before, and I shared a bit about this recently on our Instagram, about the difference between internal and external fear. Namely, and especially in times like this, focusing on what we can control, which is our mind and our internal being. One big thing we get to choose to control every day, despite our external circumstances, is gratitude. Studies have shown that practicing gratitude literally produces dopamine, something I'm sure we could all use a little more of right about now. And while Anna did record this before the current chaos started, I think it's extremely interesting to hear the kinds of things she listed that we have to be grateful for, which are very much still relevant today. Here's Anna.
I have been thinking a lot about this lately, mostly because of something Bill Cackmus mentioned at the end of our interview with him. I won't spoil it for you, so if you haven't listened to that episode, I encourage you to check it out. I've been experiencing a lot of gratitude myself lately because I'm at the beginning of a month-long experiment in which I get to prioritize my creative projects in an ongoing way that I've never had access to before. I'm only a few days in, but I'm absolutely loving it. Loving it. I can't even tell you how much I'm loving it. I'm already hoping that this kind of workflow becomes less and less like a time-limited experiment and more like my everyday life going forward. Needless to say, I am psyched about it. So it's really easy for me to feel grateful at a time like this. Like, it's borderline annoying how easy it is, and I annoy myself sometimes by being too sunshiny, but there really is so much substance in gratitude. And that's really what I've been thinking about. I'm sure we can all agree that gratitude feels nice when everything is going well, but why does it really matter? What does it actually do? In my experience, gratitude combats or balances my own negative bias. So when things are going well, our negative bias tells us it can't last forever, it's too good to be true, and that there will invariably be problems, and we better go ahead and get started worrying and fretting and freaking out about them. When things aren't going well, our negative bias needs to go no further than to take a step towards our present circumstances, point and drop the mic. So, what exactly happens when gratitude enters the picture? It helps to adjust our lens to zoom in or zoom out from where we're feeling frustrated or fearful. So if things are going well, we're more likely to feel fearful in our negative bias. If things are not going well, we're more likely to feel frustrated with our present circumstances. And usually some perspective adjustment, one way or the other, really helps. So in other words, gratitude makes our perspective more grounded, and usually that means more realistic. And we need that. Am I right? I certainly need it, because it can be really hard when things don't go according to plan. And at least in my life, they almost never go completely according to plan. And sometimes they go absolutely not according to plan whatsoever. Whether things are actually not going to plan or we're just afraid that they won't in the future, gratitude can really help us to have this necessary, helpful perspective adjustment. If you need a place to start, there are so many kinds of things to be grateful for. So let me give you some ideas. Stuff, experiences, lessons learned, relationships, tools, opportunities, hopes, resources, problems, another chance and a new day tomorrow, answered prayers, pleasant surprises, crises averted, character and integrity, room and wherewithal to grow and improve, your basic needs being met, your own personality, a moment in time like this one, which intersects with your awareness that you do, in fact, have so much to be grateful for now. Not when you get there, not once you've achieved something, not after you've put in 10,000 hours, now. Too often, we champion our own struggles or the things that are kind of negative about what we're trying to do, like we wear our busyness like a badge of honor, or our level of exhaustion, or how overwhelmed we are. And somehow that proves that we're doing something that matters, or that we're working really hard and that we're valid somehow. Gratitude kind of flies in the face of that. And I think it flies in the face of that in a good way, because it really is helpful and uplifting to us when we can acknowledge what we actually have to work with and not always focus on what's next or what our next target is or what we don't have. You know, sometimes it can be motivating to rail against your disadvantages, and all I'm saying is that that's not the only way to be motivated. The cost of being motivated that way is often burnout. So if you haven't sincerely tried gratitude as a practice or even as an experiment, I really encourage you to try it. For myself, I sometimes find that when I'm frustrated about something someone else is doing, or maybe the attitude somebody else has, or some point of contention or disagreement I have with someone, it helps me a lot to practice gratitude specifically about that person, because I usually care a lot about that person and know them really well, but my frustration about the disagreement or whatever I have with them going on at the moment is very hyper-focused. I'm very hyper-focused on the problem or the disagreement or the hurt or whatever is going on. And gratitude does not nullify that problem, whatever it may be, but it does provide a context to help me more accurately and reasonably determine the importance of that problem. It might even influence me to handle the problem better if I can recognize the context in which this problem is occurring. Or in other words, the person that I'm actually in conflict with. It helps me if I can see them for who they are and who I know them to be, including all the things I love about them and all the things I'm grateful for in our history or in our relationship or in their personality or their character. That's just one practical example of how you can sort of utilize gratitude or apply it in real life, other than just making a list every day of the things you're grateful for, which also is really helpful. I think for me, it's really helpful in a general sense to spend some time intentionally identifying those things that I'm grateful for. But it can actually be used as a tool to navigate conflicts or challenges relationally and in other areas of your life. Just to keep it personal and concrete and sort of walk the talk, if you will, I'm going to run through my list of gratitude for today based on those suggestions I gave a little earlier in the episode. So here's what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for stuff like my miniature succulent garden in my windowsill and my favorite sweatshirt. I'm grateful for experiences like getting my taxes done earlier than ever before in my entire life. What a victory. I'm grateful for lessons learned, like how much calmer I feel in the morning if my sink isn't full of dirty dishes. And guess how I learned that one? By waking up to a sink full of dirty dishes. I'm grateful for relationships, like having supportive partners in my life. I'm grateful for tools like my beloved Dymo label printer that I use every day in my eBay business. I'm grateful for opportunities, like when a friend asked me to give feedback on a new creative project she's doing. I'm grateful for that because I'm honored to be asked by a close friend and invited to have a voice in their life. And also, critiquing somebody else's work helps me to think about my own work. I'm grateful for hope, that I have grounds to hope that I'll get to do something enjoyable or meaningful or both today. I'm grateful for resources like time and technology that works right. Sometimes I'm grateful for the technology even when it doesn't work right, but I'm especially grateful when it actually works. We have a very love-hate relationship if you haven't picked up on that yet by listening to our podcast. I'm sure I complain about technology on a pretty regular basis. More about complaining later. I'm grateful for problems like the luxury of getting to try stuff because I can, or doing my favorite thing ever, creative problem solving. I'm grateful for another chance and a new day tomorrow. I'm grateful for answered prayers, pleasant surprises, and crises averted. Like, for example, when I had plans with a friend that had already been rescheduled several times, and I found out that because of something I wasn't aware of, I would have to reschedule them yet again. And then my friend wound up having to reschedule anyway. And I didn't have to feel so bad about being the problem child in the scheduling situation. I suppose that's not a proper crisis, but nonetheless, I am grateful for the way that worked out. I'm grateful for having some semblance of character and integrity to handle unpleasant surprises when they happen. I'm grateful for room and wherewithal to grow and improve. I'm grateful for my basic needs being met. I've seen evidence today alone that I'm loved, that I'm safe, I have a place to live, I have warm blankets, I have plenty of coffee, I have a snuggly cat who loves me no matter what. My other cat loves me too, he's just not quite as snuggly. I have a wonderful husband and plenty of food in my pantry. I'm grateful for my own unique personality, including all the flaws and quirks and strengths and everything. I'm grateful for a moment in time like this, which intersects with my awareness that I do in fact have so much to be grateful for right now. Not when I get there, not once I achieve it, not after I've put in 10,000 hours, now. And please understand, this is not a brag. I know that everybody has different things to be grateful for, and everybody listening to this is not going to have the same things that I have. And in turn, I don't have what a lot of other people do have. But the point is, right now, today, I am intentionally being aware of what I have. And my reaction to that, my response to that, is gratitude. Anybody can do that, no matter what the specifics are. So what are you grateful for? You don't have to get misty-eyed and start an intensive new gratitude journal or vow to never have a complaint or negative thought for the rest of your life. This is about balancing. Tempering the impact of the frustrations in your life by adding a measure of gratitude to them, not replacing them altogether. By all means, start a gratitude journal if you want. We could probably all stand to complain less too, but you can put your gratitude into action in other ways as well. Express it to someone. Tell your partner or your friend or a stranger how grateful you are for something today. Let gratitude be the common ground of our relationships and interactions rather than complaining and negativity. Do something for someone else that you'd be grateful to receive, and find some gratitude in your ability and opportunity to serve your fellow humans in some kind of an uplifting way. Take a moment to invite more awareness into your own daily experience. Open your eyes to what might come your way today that you would be grateful for if you only notice them. And remind yourself that your eyes are on the lookout for any and all indications of the small fortunes you have right here, right now. So that's it for today. Those are my thoughts on gratitude, and I hope that it opens this topic up for you in a new way. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure it's not the first time you've heard about gratitude. In my mind, I guess it's kind of a standard or a classic or an oldie but a goodie. And sometimes it bears re-mentioning those things. So whatever you're grateful for today, take a moment to savor it. And if you want to, share it with us. On behalf of the Doing Scary Things podcast, thanks so much for listening. We hope to hear from you, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for joining us today on the Doing Scary Things podcast. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe so you never miss one, leave a review, and share it with a friend. You can find our new album, Whisper, under the band name Jasper and Jade. Until next time. does not simply record a solo blooper.